This, okay, this brooch and this top is very,
it's a dress. It's a whole dress. Like it's a
I believe
boutique
it.
dress
Because
coming from my cousin. Oh,
one thing about you, you're gonna show them legs. So I believe it's a dress.
Period. Now that I got a tattoo on my thigh, now I feel like I got reasons to do it. You hear me?
It's for the art.
It's period. And it's a mermaid too. They don't know. They don't know. But hey, you guys, it's your girl, Miss Mouthy, and I have my amazing special guest with me. I'll let her introduce herself and tell y'all a little about who she is. And I'm so glad she's here today. Special guest.
What up, though, y'all? I'm Nkenga Browner. I am a Black urban lesbian writer, poet, essayist, theorist from Detroit. I also do social justice work for money, not for free no more. Hello.
Okay.
So I'm a lifelong activist and I am a twice published author.
Yes. And so I'm just glad that she was able to come on today. And one thing about her is like she carried many hats, and like every time I just hear you talk, you always giving me a new sense of insight, a new way to reevaluate of myself. So when you talk about like one thing I wanted people to know is that like I don't think people see representation often. So I really wanted a Black woman that is an author to come on and just kind of talk about like what that experience was like. And like, yeah, so when was the first time you wrote when it wasn't for like school or anything, just for passion?
You know what's funny is I would get in my mom's like punishment because she didn't hit us was book reports. And so I did a book report, and I remember I had to, my mom and dad were not together, and so my mom gave me the assignment, and I was doing it at my dad's house. And the book, like there was like a cuss word or something, and I like remember asking my dad, like, "Yo," my dad was super super strict. Like, they got a cuss word, you know? And he was like, "When you write, you can write whatever you want." And I was like, "Whatever I want?" Yes. And that was my first kind of like, and that was in middle school. That was probably 6th grade when I just started taking off journal writing. Nobody would interrupt me. I could stay up past my curfew. Like my family was like really encouraging of it. And it was a safe place for me because it was the one place I could say whatever I wanted to and not get in trouble. So like having that freedom growing up in a very strict household to do something where when you grow up in a strict household, everything, you're nervous to blink, you're nervous to do whatever. And even though I wasn't spanked, but I was consistently in trouble on punishment, having something taken from me. So writing created this one space in the universe where I could say whatever the hell I wanted to, and there would be no repercussions for it.
Okay. Did you also find that writing helped with your identity as well? Like growing up with figuring out your attractionality and things of that nature?
So it didn't at first. At first, it was purely escapism, right? Okay. It was purely like, oh, I can be like a pretty girl if I write myself a pretty girl. Like, ain't nobody gonna see me here. My teeth can be straight in this book if I write it, you know? So I could write whatever I wanted to write. So at first, it was very much escapism, and I was not myself. In my poetry, I was a princess, and I was not a girl that lived in Detroit. I lived in Flowerland, and I was the complete opposite of myself. And then as I got older, I would read about Black urban women, specifically Black urban queer women. And I was always reading about myself, and it was written by people who were not like myself. And I was disagreeing with the shit, right? And it was like, you keep disagreeing, but you ain't putting nothing up. You ain't wrote nothing.
Right.
So I had long made peace with who I was, the good, the bad, the ugly, and stopped. I had, at that point, not that I think there's anything wrong with it, because I think escapism makes a great fiction writer. I'm just not a fiction writer. But I had long stopped needing escapism to survive.
Right.
And so, because I still practice, like when I turn on Cardi B, I'm a stripper in that moment, you know. And so, old Cardi B, ghetto bitch music Cardi B, mixtape Cardi B. So, but at that point, when I was older, like first couple years of college, when I got excited, because oh my God, it's queer books, queer books about Black gay people, and then I read them, and it was like, this ain't people in my neighborhood. This ain't who I hung out. This ain't who I'm at the Woodward with. This ain't my people. And so I can keep complaining and buying a book anyway and complaining to the air because they not hearing it, or I can write my own stuff.
That's what's up. So when I first heard the title of your first book, it literally like awoke something in me. Like I don't know what it was. Like I remember my first thought was like, regardless of what or who you think is better than you, you come before that person. And I don't know if that was necessarily the thought process behind it, but that is what I gathered. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
I love that that's what you gathered from it. So the title of my first book is The Water Girl Drinks Before the Queen. And so, you know how people call you things, especially as Black women, we don't get to choose our identities. Well, we do, but like we have to learn that, right? And so if you wear Africa shaped earrings and you wear hair wrap, you're gonna get queened a lot. And I call it queen calling because it's not like a lot of folks don't think it's some type of different form of respect. It's not. It's you deciding what I am based on whatever you see and then calling me that. It's problematic the same way if you call me a hoe for wearing a bikini to the gas station, you calling me a queen, because it's not rooted in me being good or bad. It's rooted in your belief and what you think you get to assign. And so I never felt comfortable with queen, right? Because in order for me to be queen, then somebody else had to be a hoe. And somebody else had to be them bitches over there. You not like them hoes. You not like them girls. You ain't like other girls from Detroit, right? And so in order to be a queen, I had to disconnect myself from the people that I desperately want to be around, other Black women.
Right.
And so it didn't make sense. And so people would call me that, and I was, don't call me queen, don't call me queen. And there's almost a violent response to that, like, how dare I'm respecting you. Like, nigga, no, that don't feel
that don't feel good to me.
Because if I were a queen, I could tell you to call me my name and you would have to. So how I know I'm not a queen is that you won't stop calling me that shit. Okay.
Right.
So let's start there. And so I started thinking, like, just kind of fantasizing. If we were in, I call it uninterrupted Africa, because we always visualize Africa like hundreds of years ago in a way that it don't exist no more. It's a developed place at this point. But like if we had been there, if slavery had not happened and we were still ruled in these rural kingdoms were still happening, I don't think I would have ever been a queen. And so I'm like, what would have been my job? I probably would have been a water girl. I like practical jobs that I can solve practical problems, right? That's who I am, and that's who I would have been ancestrally. And so I thought I would be a water girl. And I'm like, is that bad? Like, nigga, we in Africa. It's hot.
Right.
I imagine the queen sitting up there in her hair and her jewelry and her gown, and she has to sit there and be a certain way. Meanwhile, I'm in a two-piece frolicking in the ocean, drinking water, and I'm gonna bring the queens when I bring it, but I'm getting mine off top.
Right.
So that's what you said. Your interpretation of it, thank you, is exactly what it is. You don't have to be the queen. Wherever you are in life, I'll put myself, I've been homeless, I've been in a mental hospital, I've been in all these places you might not want to be. If you're in a mental hospital, be the baddest bitch in the mental hospital, okay? If you homeless, you're the baddest bitch in the shelter today. So wherever you are, who are you in that, own that identity and rock it? I would have been a dope ass water girl and nobody's queen.
Right. That's what's up. Do you have a favorite excerpt from your first book?
So I have a favorite poem. It's the shortest poem, so I'll do it quickly because I love it. And I need it for myself often. It's called Spoon. I kept this spoon It is the only thing from our relationship that I didn't burn, tear up, throw away, destroy in some way. I kept this spoon. And not because it's yours or because it touched your mouth, therefore it's some relic that I must keep, therefore it is of some value. I kept this spoon because when you stopped showing up, when you didn't even realize this spoon was gone, it kept spooning. And if this spoon is still a spoon in your absence, then maybe without you, I am still a woman.
Love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, so you know my favorite is Acceptance Letter from your first book. For me, it was just a real picture of my mom, right? Like the things I think I didn't consider when it comes to her not having a high school diploma, her not having adequate financial stability and raising 3 kids and all the things we were asking for. And so like just the way you pictured it and like those things of like what she probably wanted for us and how we chose to go about our lives completely different. So I really thank you for that because I was like, oh, I never thought about that. And it made me have a respect. Like now being a woman, it had me have a different respect from my mom's struggles and what she had to go through just to show up as a woman, right? So yeah.
that thank you. And that was such a journey. One of the weirdest things in life, and you're a mother, so you probably understand this, but I remember at one point, I looked at this picture of my mom and she was holding me. I was a baby and she was 20. And I realized how young she was when I was little, right? If that makes any sense.
Yes.
And I remember being little thinking, you grown. Why don't you have your life together?
Right.
And I think back to it now. My mom was in her 20s most of my childhood, you know, and I was mad at her for so long. Like she didn't celebrate me being gifted, whatever, you know,
right.
Getting awards and me having this interest. And my dad did. My dad could afford for me to decide I'm a ballerina this week and I play guitar this week and I paint this week.
Right.
And he can pay for the lessons and he can drive me there. It's no sweat off his back. My mother could not afford financially for me to be gifted.
Right.
And so every award ceremony reminded her of a dress she didn't have, a car she didn't have, a gift she didn't have. She couldn't stop at the store and buy flowers for her daughter like the other parents might have. And so maybe this is why she didn't come sometimes. And maybe it was also a practical reason of I'm not catching an extra bus today, you know?
Right.
And I was able to forgive her. One, I was able to see her, which is a beautiful thing about going into your 30s as a woman, is you get to see your mama as a woman, like a whole person who like did stuff, had fun, went to the club, had sex.
Okay.
Like she was a whole ass woman.
Okay.
I was just a result of one of her nights. Like that's it.
Period.
Her existence did not start at my birth, you know. And you get to learn that in your 30s. But I remember that, and that acceptance letter was part of my forgiveness of her, and I hope that she forgives me for the demands that I put on her, and she just simply didn't have it. And overall, there are so many Black women right now who people think she mad, she got an attitude problem. You don't know how it feels to have to tell your child who you think might probably be a great ballerina, but you can't afford it, right? You simply cannot afford it, right? You making them eat leftovers or whatever just to survive, and here she come with this crazy idea that she want to spin around in a tutu that's probably gonna cost $20. And the fact that $20 can send some Black women into depression, we need to be aware, right? Do she got an attitude? Is this woman actually mad at her own baby? Probably not. There's probably something else at play. And I hope that poem opens up and continues to help women and folks in general see like that they mama is a whole woman too, with her own shit.
And thank you for that. So, speaking of that, because I know me and you personally have shared a lot of conversations around motherhood and what that looks like with my work over at Mother and Justice. My question for you is, what lesson have you learned in motherhood?
Oh my goodness, this is so ridiculous, but also so necessary. As a gay person, as a lesbian, it's helped me remember that my kids are not my property, right? Mm-hmm. I remember coming out, and not just me coming out, but people around me coming out, and how some people's parents are violently mad about who their child is dating or sleeping with. And you usually aren't violently mad about somebody else's bedroom activity. You're violently mad because you have not disconnected your child from you. And so how dare that part of me do that? I don't do that. I'm not gay, so you're not gay.
Right.
You know? And having an experience as a queer mom and being like totally remembering having these moments of like, y'all are ridiculous to kick your child out of your house, to physically harm your child, to do this thing because of who they like. And so to minimize it and flip it, when my child comes to me and he's like, I want to learn Japanese. In my head, I'm like, nigga, for what? But but I don't know him, right?
Right.
He get to like Japanese. He get to like boys or girls. He get to like this book. He get to dye his hair green because he owns that body. And if he want to rip it to shreds, you know, it's my job to keep him safe at a certain point. But at a certain point, if you want to be a stuntman, that's on him. Right. You know,
right.
I just got to do my part. But like what I've learned in motherhood and what I've learned through my own experience as a queer woman is I do not own this child. I gave birth to him as a gift. You can do whatever you want to with a gift. You can take it back to Macy's and get your money back. You can throw it in your back room and never see it again. You can re-gift it. I gave him a gift. That's all I did.
Right. And so like, I just want to give you your roses for one, like, you were very instrumental. I've been going through this custody battle and most people know about it. And you were like the one person that I could personally relate to in knowing somebody who kind of dealt with the same things I'm going through. And one thing I learned in motherhood was like, it's not easy when somebody else take your control or take your ability or take your child from you to be able to mother or foster this ideal of like who I wanted to help guide her into. But I had to work on myself as a woman first, right? Like my daughter, whenever we get this all squared away, she deserves a whole happy, loving mother that's ready and willing to like continue mothering. Because what it was given, it was given can't get out the bed. It was given depression every day, okay? And sometimes I think people need to make room for mothers in real situations that like, we don't have all the answers and we don't figure it out. And whatever picture or frame we think our child is gonna come out, we don't know how life gonna change that. Yeah. So we have to have grace with making space for them to grow and thrive and be who they are.
And grace with ourselves, right? We don't know what the hell we doing. Like we're just trying to keep them breathing. That's
it. So I watched one of your lives, and for my listeners, y'all have to get into her lives. Period. Point blank. She be dropping gems. And one thing you talked about was how you can make a ridiculous list, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And it was like, I never thought about really asking for these astronomical things in a way and believing that I accept them. But now I see it, right? Like when I thought about this podcast, I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but now it's turning out great, right? And like the sense of just being able to like love on yourself more, or in your instance, can you tell me a little about who is Bun Bay?
So I was going through this. I had a really bad breakup. I was single. And I was thinking about the person that I wanted to be with. And I started to make this list. And you know what I started doing? I started doing the devil's work. The devil's work is I started editing the list, right? And it was like, oh, I want somebody to do this, but I'm not good enough for that person yet. So I can't put that on my list. And I just stopped and I was like, bitch, you messed up right now. You on the flow with it. So you can be as ridiculous as you want to, because worst case scenario, the universe laughs at you when you in the same position you are, right?
Period.
But what is the point of asking for less than you want at your peak if you're still climbing to get to your peak? And so stop saying, oh, this person, you know, I'm making this list of my partner, but oh, this person won't want me. This is too much. Let me lessen it, right? And then you end up with somebody you don't want. And so I just realized I had nothing to lose. And that was a great moment for me, because I was just like, let me just, for everything that I think I want everything that I want in a partner exists somewhere, or I would have never thought it, right? And so let me make this list as perfect as it is. And guess what? The universe, the world, the devil will edit it, right? Okay. Limitations, money, proximity in the world. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to edit it. I can put on there that I want my partner, I want my woman to be this height and look like this. And so when I made my list, I divided it so I wouldn't get caught up in one area. Okay. But I also was clear with myself, because we get so caught up in, I don't want to be shallow as long as she loves me. No, you want somebody fine. You want somebody with great to sit on. Let's be clear, right? Right. And so I put an area for physical looks. I put an area for thought process, for spiritual beliefs, for all of that. And I didn't tell myself I was being shallow. I put an area for finances. I didn't have 82 cents at the time. Okay. And I put it on there for fun, because that don't mean I want to date somebody. What, we gonna not have 82 cents together? No, ma'am. So I put it all on the list. I divided it into sections, and I would just keep going back to it. If I met a new person or saw somebody new on TV and I learned, oh wait, I like really thick eyebrows. I didn't know that. Add that to the ridiculous list, because we getting ridiculous. We putting everything on here. And so I had this list, wrote it, kept adding to it for a while, then kind of like put it away in a journal. You know how that goes. And then I was friends with this woman who I wasn't, and this is again, the editing coming into play. Right. She was really attractive. And I just was like, attractive women don't even want me like that. So let me just stay in my lane. And it felt, we became friends, and it felt really safe, because I was like, she not gonna want me. I'm less than, I'm editing myself. Right. And we started to be friends, and it was very safe, because again, nothing to lose. And I think people have to see the goldenness and the power of when you ain't got nothing to lose. Yeah. Like, why are you nervous on the first date? Fuck this nigga. Ooh. Like, okay. Be nervous after your wedding. You got stuff on the table now, right? Why are you nervous show up on the first day going off, right? Who cares? Right. And so we were just friends, and I was just showing up exactly how I was, with no assumption that we would ever be together, and then, or ever date. And then even after we started, at some point I remembered my ridiculous list, and I went back to it. I found the journal, I went back to it, and I was like, she all of these things. Ooh. Right? All of these. And I really advise against, when you make your ridiculous list, do not have one person in mind. Right. I don't care who you think you're in love with. Make it for you. Mm-hmm. That's it. Don't be like, oh, my partner broke, so I ain't gonna put finances on there. Now you dying with somebody broke. Correct. Right. But I went back, and she was everything on there. And it was for me, it was just like, I named it the ridiculous list, because I didn't get to like, oh, I'm into the power of manifestation, I'm so serious about this. I was half-ass serious about it. Right. Because part of me didn't believe it would happen, but I just gave my list out there, and the universe responded in a waitress fashion. Like, this is what you wanted, right? This is how you wanted it. That's what you asked for. Exactly. And so what I'll follow up and say 3 years later, after we started dating, is that don't edit yourself, and then start preparing. Because that's where I fucked up. I made the list, half believing, which means I didn't start preparing that I might get this, right? I didn't believe that I would receive any gifts from the universe. And so I think I talk about this in my second book where I say, like, if you pay for a new couch and you know, they say it's coming Monday at 3:00, you don't wait till Monday at 3:05 to throw out the old couch and sweep up under it and clean the floor. You do that Sunday night. You prepare for it because they said it was coming. You did what you had to do, so you go ahead and prepare for it. So I advise anybody, make a ridiculous list for your job, for your partner, for your wardrobe closet, whatever. Just make the list. Nothing is gonna hurt you, and then prepare for it. Get ready for it.
That's real. That is so real. And so you take us into my next question that I'm sure is on everybody's mind. Where did we get the title for your second book, Dick and Donuts? Okay. I love this title. And whenever I'm in public, baby, they are like, what you reading? I'm like, Dick and Donuts by my girl. You got to get into it.
So I am heavily, and at the time I started writing that, I'm big on simple luxuries, right? I'm big on simple luxuries. Like, I don't take enough, but if you take naps, I have a nanny. I give myself permission not to clean the kitchen every night, like simple luxuries. And so I was thinking about donuts. I drink a lot of iced coffee and I eat a lot of donuts. And the thing was, this is so stupid, but like so big in my head. I found out donuts were fried. And I thought that was wow, right? Because you expect a pastry to be baked. And this donut didn't give a fuck what I expected.
Right.
It just did what it wanted to do. And I made room. And not only did I make room, I paid money and came back for more, right?
Okay.
And I thought that was so beautiful. It doesn't matter what you expect, what you believe I'm supposed to look like, what all the other girls or the other pastries look like. I'm fried. You can deal with that. Or you can not have me. And donuts ain't losing no sleep over me. And so that was first. And then eating. Make sure that you are eating good things, but also make sure you are eating things that are good to you. We talk a lot about eat your greens, eat your vegetables because they're good for you, but be good to you, right? And I ain't no doctor, so, don't throw that at your doctor. But if you had diabetes or something, think about it. But donuts just taste good for no other reason. And you can have them anytime. Breakfast donut, afternoon donut, after dinner donut, nobody judges you. We should all be as carefree, as beautiful, and as satisfying to others as donuts are. And then Dick, the other satisfaction.
My poison of choice, okay?
Listen. Probably how you gonna
my addiction.
In hell.
Been my addiction since when?
Since it been since.
Oh.
So
a grasshopper.
And we have to be honest, right? If we're saying things like, and we're trying to trick ourselves in a universe. I want somebody who will hold me at night and love me and we'll work everything else out. You sure? You sure you want some good dick too? Since we just asked for what we want.
Right.
And it's back to the pleasure seeking, and it's back to a simple luxury, right? Dick is in abundance. Don't let nobody tell you different.
Yeah. Okay, break it down. If dick is in abundance, please let me know.
It is in abundance. It is not, there's not a big scarcity. It will not be one, right? Okay. Now, I don't care how you like your dick. I don't care if your dick is from the store. I don't care if your dick is on another human. I don't care how that human identifies, dressed as any of that, right? It is your sexual gratification and your pleasure. And the thing about orgasms, they can give you a rush of satisfaction that you can get from a vacation, from buying a new house, buying a new car. You can get it for free in about, if you really, really concentrate, 5 to 7 minutes or 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how your life rolls. And so if you have dick and donuts every day, you've had a satisfying day. There's never been one day in your life where you've had both dick and donuts and not had a great day.
Okay, yes. Period. So, you talked a lot about studs. And so for the people who may not know in the ways of which your wheels turn, can you tell a little bit about your viewpoint when it comes to studs? Because I just laugh every time I see your post.
So I'm generalizing like a motherfucker. So before y'all call, y'all hit up Miss Mouthy and be like, actually, your guest needs to know that everything is a spectrum. I know, bitch. I got the same Google. Okay. So
Period.
There is, in the Black lesbian community, most folks, not all, tend to present in one way, usually feminine presenting or masculine presenting. Feminine presenting lesbians are often called femme, or we refer to as femmes. Masculine presenting lesbians we refer to often as studs. That is a Black thing. White women are butches. Argue with me later.
Ooh, so, okay.
That said, so I'm a feminine presenting lesbian. I date masculine presenting women, studs, right? And so what was happening, I was going through this period of the bad breakup before I met Bombay. And I remember, and gay people, we do this a lot. We have had to play around with pronouns our whole life, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm singing a love song and the woman singing is saying he, I just say he and I just keep singing, right? Because we don't have our own freaking media. And down to memes, and that's what was bothering me. You'll see straight folks, they're like, men do this and women do this and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of queer folks will repost it and we'll kind of be like, you know what I mean, right?
Right.
I didn't want to do that anymore because I'm like, gay people are funny as hell. I've never been in a room with three queers and we ain't been laughing about some shit. So for me, I was just like, I don't need to do this. I don't mean man. That's not who pissing me off. I ain't got no beef with men. I don't even see them that much.
Right.
So I have issues with who's hurting me, who's cheating on me, who's breaking my heart, right? And so that's who I'm going to drag and blaze and make fun of. And so I was very specific and I started using and created the hashtag studs ain't shit. And I would just say, so my first post that went viral was studs love joggers and mesh gym shoes, so they're more aerodynamic when they run the cheat. And it went viral and it was wonderful because what it told me was this whole world of Black urban lesbians wanted memes, wanted to have this conversation, wanted to stop playing around with pronouns and kick it about who we date and who we talk to. We never see straight people like sharing gay memes, like, you know what I mean, though, And so I just started with literally just creating Facebook posts or online posts because I wanted us to be able to laugh at ourselves, talk about ourselves, and not have to do it from this heteronormative stance, right? Where nobody's a man or a woman here, some studs and some femmes in the building. And that's what we're talking about.
Yes. Okay. So I would say, what would be your advice for people on how they can show up more for trans women?
So first of all, I'm so tired of this term, seat at the table, right? I am not into pulling up a seat at the table for trans women. If I get there and whoever put this in order did not already determine if there's a seat, then I'm leaving too. Mm-hmm. I fight for trans women. Trans women don't need me to do shit, but stop participating where they can. That's it. Right. So my thing is not like, oh, I get to call myself an ally and I do all this hard work and I do this. I don't go to places where women can't come. Flat out. If you ain't, because this is what I know. And I say this about when cis women, like, I don't know, joke or post videos about like trans women, trigger warning, being harmed or murdered, right? And I always say this, any man that will kill a trans woman for existing will slap the shit out of you for laughing, right? Right. And that's a huge difference in the level of violence, but I don't want to be around him either, right? Mm-hmm. He not gonna kill me because I'm the type of woman he respects, but he could. What if what if something about me because something he doesn't like? And I don't know all this nigga likes and dislikes, and I'm not gonna hang around and find out, right? And so I don't want to argue with nobody who has not already accepted and written into their bylaws and already know this is how they coming. I'm not teaching nobody that trans people exist, because if they don't exist in your world at this point, then your world is a scary place that I don't need to be in, because I'm next on the menu. So I'm good. Yeah. I only want to be in places where trans folks are already included in the work, because then I don't have to start the conversation from, and others are oppressed too, right? Everybody already here. So what I would say to folks is stop, and everybody do what they want to do, obviously, but instead of arguing with folks and thinking that, and also feeding your own ego, I made them add trans to the bylaws and I made them invite trans women. No. Quite easily. I've stood up in community discussions and settings, and it doesn't happen that often anymore, but when it was happening years ago, and I would just, it's this minute somebody and these people and purple people and trans people, are any trans people here? No. And then no, okay, I'm gonna leave too. Right. Then I walk out, and you can make whatever assumptions you want to make about me. And the second thing that I do, that I always challenge people, community justice spaces, when they say, because they're so happy, we have a trans person on staff. My follow-up question is always, can they fire anybody? The answer is never been yes. I don't care how many people, how many trans folks you put in low-level positions, and you know that when folks are in certain situations, that they will take a job that is, I don't want to say beneath them, but that does not honor their complete skill set, because it's harder for them to get jobs. And I feel you, if I feel you taking advantage, then I just challenge you with that simple question. Okay, you got a trans person on staff, that's cute. Can they fire anyone? Have you given them the power that is inherently coming in with which we shouldn't have these kind of power at jobs, but we do. This is how it works right now. And so challenging spaces that think they're doing something with how much power is the power being dwelled out evenly. And then stop going to places where niggas make jokes about trans people. Stop going to places where trans people are not automatically invited. You ain't got to do the work. Stop. You so exhausted from being an ally. Stop working then. Just stop going there.
Yeah, that's real. Thank you so much. And so my final question would be, what advice would you have for a young woman or young girl that want to become a writer?
This is so damn basic, but you need to write, and you need to be around other writers. This is the thing. Everybody think they got the coldest book in the world in their head. And they start writing it. The translation, so much is lost in translation. So start writing, and your first 50 takes might be trash. I read some of my old stuff back in the day, and I'm just, praise a lot, it did not get published. I do not want this on my resume. Write till you hate it, write till you love it. Write. And hang around other people that encourage you, that challenge you. Hang around people that write better than you. Hang around other writers.
That's what's up. Well, thank you for coming on today. Is there anything else you want to discuss? What's new for you? What's you got coming up the pipeline?
So, you know what? Nope, folks can catch me online. I'm always posting stuff. Oh no, I should say Dick and Donuts. The book got picked up for a series. So we start filming this spring, summer. So Dick and Donuts will be coming to a screen as a series. So I'm excited about that.
I'm so happy.
And thank you so much for this. I'll be back on. Hopefully you invite me back when the series drops. And I'm so glad that you created this space. We've been talking for a while, and I've been telling you, you got something in you. Yeah. I've been saying, right, do this, whatever.
You did. It's coming. It's all coming. I promise. I am. Yeah. I'm literally now only taking everything day by day, but it's been people like you that's been in my corner and in my ear that make me see, right? Oftentimes as a trans woman, I had to stop believing that that's all I could be. It's this person that's made to just go from one gender to the next, but then it's okay, I've done that. So where do we go from here? Right. And I wasn't seeing people like me in media, and I wasn't seeing them in a way, just like you're writing. I wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear on a different type of platform. And I wasn't seeing my community and like, yeah, so it started out.
So you created it, you pioneered, you did your thing. I love this so much. I love watching your other interviews and everything. I'm so happy that you gave birth to this.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. It's your girl, Miss Mouthy. And until next week, you know, it's Mouthy Mondays with your girl, Miss Mouthy. Bye.